Hey guys, Ginger here. First, quick housekeeping. Bad news. It looks like my extended hours at work go on for a couple weeks longer than originally planned. So the soonest I'm going to be out of this and be able to get back to my regular schedule is most likely the weekend of October 16th. So that sucks. But hey, what can you do? It is what it is, and I'm happy to be employed. So, what's been going on the last week? Oh, and also, if you're someone who's been following my Periscope broadcast, like on the way home from work and everything, I haven't had the energy to do it on the way home, catching up on a podcast, whatever. Yeah, as things, oddly enough, even though work is going to go longer, in a way, it'll probably settle down some. So there's a fair chance that I'll be able to do a little bit more of that. Anyway, so what's been going on in the last week? Well, take your pick, right? We've got ambush shootings in LA of cops. We've got Netflix dropping softcore kiddie porn. We've got wildfires like everywhere out west, primarily California, Oregon, and Colorado. All right. And of course, there's lots of claims theories running around about those. And we're going to talk a little bit about pretty much all of this here in the next few minutes. First of all, let's pick up with Cuties, okay? Cuties. Oh, my thing is muted. I hope you guys could hear me. All right. Hopefully, if I was muted, I'm sorry. I'm not going to run through everything again. Because if I wasn't, well, then I'm just repeating myself. Anyway, and I'll usually repeat myself at least once by the time we're done anyway. So, Cuties. Well, a couple weeks ago, we all saw the trailer, we saw the poster and everything for this. Social media was up in arms, rightly so. Netflix was like, well, we're sorry about the artwork. But, you guys got to understand, it won an award at Sundance, and it's by a French person. So, it's great. Not realizing that the people who are most likely to criticize it the most are the people who are not going to find the fact that it's a French film that won an award at Sundance. It's not really a defense. It's kind of like saying, oh, so it is exactly what we think it is. Anyway, turns out it was... I haven't seen it, nor do I intend to. I think the big clip that kept running around on the internet seemed to be the clip from the final dance number, which was atrocious. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I just kind of sat there with a look like that. And, yeah, it was pretty awful. And, of course, now you've got defenders. One of the... On the conservative end, and this is the thing that's most worthy of discussion, I think, is you got Ben Shapiro discussed it on his show, and he talked about how, in the end, it's actually got a fairly conservative message, and that young women are often, often forced into a choice, or seem like they're forced into a choice between some ridiculous, obscure anti-woman philosophy that you could find amongst fundamentalist Islam, where you've got polygamy and everything, which is the case with the main character in the movie, or hypersexualization, where everything is about your body and what you can do with it. And Shapiro is pointing out that he thinks that the movie is a critique of the fact that is a critique of both of those extremes. And saying that the movie is pointing towards, choosing neither of those. Now, what he does to point to his strongest case for that is based on what apparently the ending is. Apparently, the main character, Amy, I think her name is, she ends the dance number, runs off sobbing, and the final shot is basically her dressing like a normal 11-year-old and playing jump rope. Like a normal 11-year-old. and that essentially she's rejecting both uh, the the polygamy practiced by her father and the hypersexualization of her friends. Okay, fine. Let's say that's true. Let's say that's it's not clear for one that that is the creator's intent. I heard some other stuff about it, and it's kind of the director's comments are something of a Rorschach test, if you ask me. You could read an awful lot of things into her words and that were showing up in interviews before this came out. I don't remember much of it because it wasn't really the kind of comments that were worth remembering. It was a lot of about how a woman should be able to choose to be whatever she wants to be, sort of thing. And like I said, that's kind of a Rorschach test. You can read into that whatever you want based on what your own worldview is. Whether that's by design or not, I don't know. However, the fact remains that even if this is the primary purpose, to show that hypersexualizing kids is bad, to do that, they went about hypersexualizing the ever-living hell out of kids. Not a huge fan of that at all, especially when there are various a lot of the defenders are like, oh, it's a wonderful story of female empowerment. Really? Turning yourself into a sex object at 11 is empowerment. Okay then, sure, whatevs. And then you've got others who are clearly enjoying, like there's something circulating for some dude who refers to them as hot, which is distressing, to say the least. Dude needs a psyche eval stat. And you've got others commenting that this is already having an impact on kids in terms of sexual abuse, on trafficking, so on and so forth. And I am not cool, Netflix. So suffice to say, it's, we've canceled. I don't intend on going back. I might mooch a little bit off of them with a free trial when Stranger Things season 4 comes out. I'm not going to lie. But beyond that, nope. I think Netflix is done getting any of my money at all. So they done screwed that one up. In related news, actually, there's been a lot of issues concerning Mulan, the live-action remake that is available for premiere access on Disney Plus, which means you pay $30 to rent the movie. I think you actually wind up owning it after that. I'm not positive. Which, as far as the pricing and everything goes, I get it actually. I've got a family of 8. If we all go to the theater at once, oh my gosh, it's a small fortune. So $30 is no big deal to me. Even if it was just to rent the thing, treating it like a theater release, I get it. It seems crazy at first, but for something that's brand new coming out, it doesn't bother me a whole lot. Now, the fact that they think the people at the concentration camps where they were filming, that bothers me just a little bit. And, of course, on top of Iger's threat that they'd stop filming in Georgia because of a pro-life bill that went through. Really? Really? So you're okay with concentration camps and harvesting people's organs, but you're not okay with a bill that would restrict abortion to basically before the heartbeat. I forget the exact details of the Georgia bill, but a lot of them that were coming out about that same time were essentially up to heartbeat, up to when we can measure the heartbeat. So really just like I think 3 to 6 weeks is the standard. I'd have to double check. Stunning hypocrisy. Although, as Clavin pointed out, it's not really hypocritical because really it's just all about money. What they will say and do whatever they have to do for money. Here, they're hoping to get money from the woke scolds and the armies of SJWs out there. In China, they're just hoping to appease the government and thus be able to market themselves in China. So whatever it takes to get them money, that's what they worry about. Yes, I know, shut up, socialists. You mean, oh, that's capitalism, right? See, capitalism is just a system. That's it. And incidentally, capitalism is a word pretty much invented by communists and socialists to discredit free market economics. And yes, free market economics without a moral grounding is just a tool that can be used any way, shape, or form. It's like a hammer. It's like a gun. Without a solid moral foundation, it can be used to hurt. With a solid moral foundation, it can be used to do great and wonderful things. Like build up whole societies, lift them out of poverty, so on and so forth. Capitalism, aka free market economics, is nothing more than a tool. It is not an all-encompassing ideology, which is, of course, completely contrasted with socialism/communism, which is an all-encompassing ideology. It is, in fact, essentially a religion. Moving on. Well, actually, tangentially, this connects to some of the stories that have been starting to pop up about the wildfires out west, especially seemingly concerning the ones in Oregon. Now, of course, there are wildfires every year out west. They burn thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of acres every single year. This year also happens to be unusually hot, so it is, at least out there, over here in Michigan, it's actually been fairly cool for a while. So, whatever. Climate, individual climates in one area does not necessarily reflect climate everywhere. Global warming, people. Anyway. So it's unusually hot over, especially in California, and naturally it's harder to get the fires under control. That makes perfect sense. It's understandable that they're going to be burning more, and also that there would be more of them. And of course, everyone's been harping on the gender reveal party that started a forest fire. Yeah, that's one. There's like 200 separate forest fires that are burning right now. The gender reveal accident got one. That's it. Just one. Yes, I know. It's still more than we would like. But point is, gender reveal parties are not responsible for every single wildfire right now. You insufferable idiots. So also, back to those fires, especially in Oregon, where there is definitely evidence, well, in California as well, there's also evidence there that these things, at least some of them, not all of them, are getting started by arsonists. California, I think I saw they arrested like 4 separate people for arson, which is not a small amount. I mean, 4 people. Still, you got 4 arsonists running around starting these things. And I'm sure, again, there's probably arsonists every year. We know accidents start these things fairly frequently. Like the gender reveal party. However, in Oregon, we know that they've also found fireworks near the site of some of these fires. We know that they found people running around with them, setting them off by roads. We know this these are facts. Okay, there are lots of other rumors around, people running around with gas cans, chainsaws, but I saw some photographic evidence of somebody running around with a 55-gallon drum and a chainsaw. Whether or not he was going to start a fire, who knows? But there's a lot of suspicious stuff that some people are saying out there. Now, some people are definitely trying to tie this to Antifa / Black Lives Matter. trying to say that they're the arsonists starting the fires. Is it possible? Yes. Is there hard evidence to support that yet? No. There's not hard evidence to make the link yet. That is 100% fair to point out, and I agree with you. And I don't want to go, especially pointing out anyone in particular. That said, there are some suspicious individuals. Matt Christensen on his show earlier tonight was talking about there's some guy who's shown up at a lot of these protests and everything, and did show up near the scene of a fire. It's suspicious, not conclusive. There's also been reports apparently of people driving down the road with trucks, tossing Molotov cocktails out into the woods. So yeah, as Mr. Reagan pointed out, who has been tossing around Molotov cocktails lately? Oh wait, yeah, starts with an A. Again, it's not conclusive. There's rumors out there. There's a lot of speculation, and it's hard to tell the difference between rumor and speculation right now. We don't have hard evidence. I'll refrain from saying anything definitive until such time as there is some hard evidence. But I guess if you live out there, keep your eyes open. If you live out west, California, Oregon, any of these places, keep your eyes open. I haven't heard anything about origin of fires in Colorado. I don't know anything about that. No one, to my knowledge, is saying anything about that. So maybe those are just regular, average, everyday, every year wildfires. Who knows? Ambush shooting in LA. Yeah, I saw the footage of that. Some very small individual. Like, I'm sorry to any earth-friendly people out there, but it was a comically small dude. Walks up and just unloads into the car. Into the cop car, and scurries off. Which, that's not the worst part of it. The worst part of it is, of course, the cops fortunately were able to get to a hospital. I mean, they were gotten to a hospital, I should say. Made it through surgeries. To my knowledge, they're both alive, getting excellent health care and everything, which is great. But here's the real issue. BLM over in LA, when they found out about it, they were happy. They were cheering about these cops getting shot. Ambushed, mind you. Ambushed. And not only were they cheering, they decided, hey, we're going to go to the hospital where they're at, and we're going to scream and yell there and actually try to get inside. The cops actually had to show up and surround the hospital to prevent these rioters from getting inside the hospital. And who knows what would have happened then. Who knows? So essentially, although a lot of the riots and everything have calmed back down a little bit, at least, for the time being, almost as though it's reflected in the polls that it's not going well for the Democrats. Weird. That said, also, the feds have been rounding up a lot of these Antifa and BLM people. Very targeted arrests, very small in scale, not going overboard, I would say, is a fair way to characterize it. Also, contributing, I think, to the toning down of the riots is, in fact, the wildfires. The air quality is awful. If you've seen any pictures from where these fires are, it looks like the last act of Justice League. The sky is red, and even where you don't see fires, the sky is red, full of smoke, just all the time. It's kind of crazy. So I'm willing to bet a lot of these guys, they may even have left the area, or they're just staying inside. Who knows? So all in all, I think that's a fair rundown of everything. I think Rochester is turning into a little bit more of a problem. We'll have to kind of keep our eyes on it, see how that goes over the next, again, few days, couple of weeks. It's it's been pretty much nightly or nearly nightly, at least protests, if not riots, at various points. Of course, last week sometime they were actually climbing up on people's houses, and that scares me because there's been this gradual escalation where, first it started out in downtown areas, where the looting and the rioting and the burning, and then it moved into residential areas, but it stayed obnoxious, but mostly peaceful, to coin a phrase. But now they're moving. And of course, they burned down a bunch of a smaller, mid-sized city like Kenosha. Not the whole city, I know, but several blocks in it, moving away from the bigger cities, or the cities like Portland, which are fairly mid-sized but are kind of known for this sort of thing. So now they're in Rochester, again, another mid-sized city that is, that's turning into a problem. And they're in residential, they're in residential neighborhoods now, climbing on people's houses, going, not just harassing people at a restaurant, but going and basically kicking them out. It's the next stage, the next level of escalation, honestly, that I see is actually getting into looting and burning in the residential neighborhoods. If they're climbing on top of your houses, if they continue to escalate, the next step is literally they're coming in, and boom, it is the dark night at that point. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to have some sort of a plan in case that happens. To be able to defend yourself, defend your home, defend your family, work on it. Come up with something. Okay? I've got a few handy dandy barricades ready to go at my place, and of course there are self-defense tools that are readily available. We'll put it that way. So just come up with your own plan, whatever you can do within the laws of your own state. And of course, whatever the limits are based on exactly where it is you live. If you live in an apartment, a house, you rent, you own, whatever. Try to keep it reasonable, but also have the plan, have the materials to do whatever is necessary to keep you and your family safe. Whatever that may be. So I think that wraps up this quick little roundup here. It continues to be interesting out there. Western civilization is, frankly, with the production of things like Cuties, honestly, we're earning our collapse. If this is the kind of thing we'll make, the kind of thing we'll tolerate, yeah, we're done. For crying out loud, go read the Old Testament. Israel would reach a peak. They decide they don't need God anymore, and they do fine for a while, but they'd fall, they'd collapse, and then they turn back, and the cycle would repeat. Until, God just, what? Y'all had a lot of chances here. You need some extreme medicine, and they got invaded, they got taken over, and literally shipped off to a foreign country. Until Cyrus let them go back home. But it gives hundreds of years. We're setting ourselves up for that kind of thing right now. And how it'll all play out, I don't know. But things are afoot. Absolutely. We are collapsing right now as we speak. I wish it was not so. I don't like saying it, but it is so. So again, continue to pray, continue to prepare, continue to work to make things better, because there's always the chance that things turn around. That God basically shows mercy on our pathetic selves and lets us keep chugging along so we can turn back to him. So do so. And work, like I said, work to make it better out there. Don't just let fear control you. Because if you do that, they definitely won. You gotta, like I said, prepare for the worst, hope and work for the best. Okay? That doesn't mean put your heads in the sand. It means there are things we can do to make it better. Do it. Figure out what you can do. Whatever little slice of that pie you can bite off. Take care of it. Because there's something out there. There's something out there. And this is something that Cardinal Newman, famous for saying, there is something out there that only you can do. There is some purpose that God put you on this earth for. It might be big, it might be small, but there is something out there that you and only you can do. So try to figure out what that is and go do it. Because that's how that's how this gets turned around. It doesn't get turned around just by us deciding how to do it ourselves. It doesn't get turned around just by sitting and praying about it. It turns around by praying on our knees and then getting up on our feet and getting to work. Faith into action. Faith in action. Better way to put it. That's the only way we're getting out of this. And it's not going to be easy. It won't. Especially the way things are turning. It will not be easy, but it's possible. All right? So on that note, pray, prepare, work. Work like your life depends on it, because it does. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, be good until I see you again.